Hi, I'm Rob Carson, host of the Blue Team Warrior podcast, and today I have with me the famous Erin Beffa, black badge holder at NolaCon, uh, among other things. So, Erin, thanks so much for coming. Can you tell us about yourself? What do you do?
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I think it's really cool. You guys are highlighting and showcasing Blue Team Warriors. So my name is Erin Beffa. Thanks for having me again. I am Vice President of ProAlign Cyber Intelligence Services. So we're an open source intelligence and OSINT shop, flexing and specializing in executive data protection, as well as OSINT for security for individuals, companies, and live events. We're able to take advantage of dark web breach intel, open source intelligence, human socket, all those open source feeds quickly to empower executives and other individuals to stay secure, to take back control of their data. So yeah.
Cool and awesome. That sounds pretty exciting. So tell me a story. Tell me sometime you or somebody you know was Blue Team Warrior.
Absolutely. What I constantly deal with open source intelligence is you could almost describe it as the low-hanging fruit. So if an attacker and a malicious adversary is able to find vulnerable information about you without even hacking you, I mean, that's the lazy hacker's way to attack you. And if you are an executive, if you are a high net worth individual, if you are the head of a company, you kind of have a target on your back for attack factors such as spoofing, impersonation, spear phishing. So it's really, really nice for me when I'm able to work with an individual to take them from being freaked out and being hopeless and overwhelmed by the amount of information we are able to find using open source methodology and moving them to a place of empowerment. Like, hey, yes, your information is out there right now, but after we're able to do maybe an online profile cleanup or a digital footprint analysis, they are empowered and they go from being overwhelmed to flexing and angry, which to me is kind of great, that they can take control of their data back. They can remove their information online because it never should have been there in the first place. They start to flex that right to privacy. So we were able to do that recently for a client who was not only the head of a company, but they were also doing some things in their personal life that they're like, I would like to be able to remain a prominent figurehead of my company, but I also would like to do X, Y, and Z online safely. We're like, yeah, you can do that. You can still utilize this wonderful tool that is the knowledge of the universe at our fingertips of the internet and not have such a target on your back. Take control of your open source, publicly available information. And they were able to do that. And so after first meeting with them as a client, from being just kind of a little scaredy bunny to being the very angry bunny from Monty Python, like, it's my data. No. So so that's a story recently of that makes me happy when we can see open source intelligence move from a place of, hey, that's really freaky, to empowerment.
That's awesome. Cool. We have a little extra time. Anything else you want to add, or you want to give any shout outs before because I do have a question for you.
Absolutely. I do want to shout out one person who's actually helped me a lot in my journey of cybersecurity. I was not one of those kids who started taking apart the computers as a little kid. I was busy running around the woods making acorn hats out of my tree creatures. So since I started my cybersecurity intelligence education, I have to shout out to Chester Bishop for being a wonderful instructor and teacher to me. He is Blue Team through and through, Navy guy.
Fabulous hair, fabulous beard.
Fabulous beard. You could support a beach umbrella in that beard. And he is one of those individuals who's able to adapt his teaching methodology to what kind of student he's working with. Oh, you're an audio learner, you're a visual learner, whatever. He's one of those people who can do that with incredible amount of patience. So I also have to shout out to Chester for being one of my favorite instructors, of taking the time to kind of lead me through the nose through some of the harder concepts and just being a supporter.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good to hear. No, I'm excited to hear, how things go. Like, I got one of my questions for you, just because we have a minute, is how are you for organizations? Are you able to use that threat intel for them to take proactive decisions?
Absolutely. For organizations, one of the biggest things I see happening is they have lost control of their documents. So we're, a lot of times online intelligence, you focus on like the HTTPS or digital content. But with organizations, I always bring to them the PDF, the doc, the Excel files I see floating around online. And a lot of times it's not a case of they were irresponsible with the documents, but someone they worked with, something outside their four walls, forgot about a document sitting open on a server, sitting on the website, and it contains a lot of factual, useful information, useful for an adversary or espionage. And that's some of the things that we definitely try to help with organizations and corporations for, hey, let's make sure you're not the lowest hanging fruit of the attack surface of what a malicious person would try to get you at, because information that can be obtained with OSINT is really hard to track. Your network admins aren't going to catch vulnerable information that are obtained outside your four walls that are sitting unsecured. You won't even know A, it's out there, and B, someone else got a hold of it, unless you take the proactive step to make sure your digital footprint is more cleaned up, is more in your control. So I hope that answers your questions. For organizations and corporations, yeah, there's a ton that OSINT can A, help you identify, and B, help you take it down, help you manage it, help it get it back in your control.
Well, and OSINT and threat intelligence is becoming more required in the frameworks coming out in the new ISO standard, things like that. So that's why I asked, because like whether people want to ignore it or not, it's coming. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Erin. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Rob.